Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Bordallo, members of the committee, for letting us testify today. I thank my friend and colleague, Mr. Peterson. He has been dealing with this issue, as he said, for a long time, and it just doesn't seem to go away. As pointed out, we have cormorants in some locations cause an enormous amount of damage. They destroy vegetation, they wipe out fish populations. It is clearly a problem in Lake Waconia in my district, where I had 3,000 of my constituents sign a petition. They believe that an entire generation of walleye have been wiped out in Lake Waconia. Some facilities are unusable because of the cormorants and what they do to the property and to the vegetation. As I looked into this, trying to figure out how we could solve the problem in Minnesota, I found out that this problem exists all over the country. Mr. Peterson indicated that if you've got a fish farm, for example, in Alabama, the cormorants can come in and essentially wipe out your crop because they concentrate in areas. So we've been trying to deal with this, as Colin said, for a number of years. It is a pretty cumbersome system. For example, right now, under the treaty and under the processes of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service has primary responsibility for cormorant management. When cormorants nest on private land, permits must be obtained from the Fish and Wildlife Service in consultation with the United States Department of Agriculture and Wildlife Services and the Department of Natural Resources or equivalent agency in the states. It takes a long time. These birds can move from spot to spot, and by the time you get a permit, they've moved on and they're doing damage someplace else. We just need to be more responsive. So we've put this legislation together with a lot of input from stakeholders. The idea is you must comply with the treaty, as Mr. Peterson said. States develop a management plan. They present it to the Secretary of Interior for approval. The Secretary must approve the plan as long as it is compliant with the treaty. And if they wait longer than 60 days to approve the plan, then it is automatically approved. We're trying to speed up this process, be responsive to the concerns of our constituents, let the population be managed more directly at the local level so you don't have those layers of red tape that you have to go through. I don't want to be critical of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They do grant permits, but it is just the process is slow and not responsive enough to meet the needs at the time. So this legislation, and by the way, I'm very appreciative you let me submit the entire testimony for the record, and let me sort of summarize here. And the summary is this: the current process is too slow, it's too cumbersome, it's not meeting the needs of any of our constituents. The birds are doing more and more damage in some places, economic damage, certainly aesthetic damage. If you go to a place like Lake Waconia, there's an island there that has turned white. It really is some severe damage. They need to be managed. I believe that the local officials, state officials, DNRs can do this. They just simply have to do it in compliance with the treaty. So I encourage the committee to move this forward and see if we can't get action on the floor quickly to provide some relief. And I yield back.